Well, hello there. This is a habit I've gotten into when I do courses with doctoral students. Basically, I always like to give kind of an overview of what we're going to do with each module. And as I think particularly important in summer, because what we're doing in summer is compacting 15 weeks into 6. And we'll talk more about that. We have talked by the time you see this, or maybe not. My tech city might actually have these up before class started. That would be good. So basically our course is an overview of budget and finance in higher ed in the United States. Don't do a lot, unless one or two of you have aspirations to be community college people. I've worked both in university and community college, but I don't usually touch much on community college because most of you seem to be headed toward the four-year sector, and that's fine with me. And there's more fun to talk about there anyway. Okay, we're going to be looking at 3 dimensions of what goes on in budget and finance in higher ed. We'll probably say the least about the national. Most will be about state. But given the nature of some things that are happening in the country right now, it'll be important that I say a few things about regional. For example, Kaplan University, which was a private institution, is now owned by Purdue University. Well, Purdue is a public university in the state of Indiana, and all of the Kaplan branches are now called Purdue Global hyphen the town they're in. I happen to be from Hagerstown, which is west of the city by 75 miles. And we have a Kaplan. It's now got a big sign saying Purdue Global. So rather interesting. And so that's where the regional comes in, because the way some things are done there a little differently. And we're going to be talking with a colleague of mine who, before coming to Morgan, worked as she'd have been a provost in any other language but North Carolina, of a branch of a university. And the parent campus is about 40 miles away from her branch. You'll be seeing an interview with her because of how unique and different it is when you have to deal with your individual budget, but then see how it folds into the budget of the parent campus. Okay, one of the things I should probably say a word or two about is the assignments. They're, I think, adequate for the course. First, there will be 3 short papers. Give you a couple of opportunities of what you want to do them on. Every one of the chances. I have the older edition of the book. By the time we get together, I will have both. I was told by one of your colleagues that the 2018 version doesn't cost any more than the old one. Get the new one. Okay. At every chapter, there are some very interesting questions, which will help you. You've got 2 options as to what you might do your 3 short papers on, and by short, 3 to 5 pages. You can do them on blending a couple of the questions together, or you can take one of the readings that I'll be giving you. You have one right now, the one by the outfit that tried to do a national study of how are we going to deal with all the financial challenges being faced in the last decade and in the coming decades. Okay, so that's what that is. I'm going to repeat. It's in the syllabus, but I'm going to repeat again. That's redundant, but I'm going to repeat. I really want your assignments electronically. There's a reason for that. Number one, I love correcting electronically. It makes my life much easier, and it will make your life much easier, primarily because my handwriting is terrible. It was never very good, and I've got a bit of arthritis, and it's difficult for you to read it. We'll collaborate on the first meeting of the class, and we'll set the dates when these things are due. The second assignment is going to be an interview, and I will help you put together the interview. Largely, the questions at the back of the text are equally good for conducting the interview, and we'll focus them depending on who you're going to talk to. If you're having any trouble or concern who you might talk to, let me know. We've got a number of people in and around Morgan who can meet with you and talk about the status of the budget that they operate under and have, of course, to compromise and cooperate with other people. So that's all very good. And the third assignment is going to be a kind of a synthesis paper, and I see that being 6 to 8 pages, where you take a topic that you've developed an interest in as the course evolves, and you will prepare a paper analyzing the current status of whatever that topic may be. Now, I'm very comfortable with people doing these collaboratively. I don't know you yet, I'm just making this 2 weeks before class starts. Once I get to know you, if you're working in the same institution or you have some commonality of interaction that makes it better to do that, that'd be fine. I don't like to have too many people. Ideally, two is great, 3 is great. You start moving up to 4 people, and unfortunately the work too often does not get divided equally among everybody. So those are the 3 things: short papers, interview, and a project. And again, as I said, there is a final date in the syllabus for when the last, the last paper must be submitted. One of the things I've learned recently, Morgan, for some bizarre reason, seems to change registrars far more regularly than any place I've ever been. And every one of these registrars seems to bring in a new set of criteria for submitting grades, issuing incompletes, and what have you. So I'm short of something very, very serious, very traumatic. I do not issue incompletes. So there can be excuses. It's one of those things that happens. But we won't go on about it. We'll talk more about that when we get together. One of the things I do, because no textbook is particularly perfect, even this is, if you're using the new one, it's a 2018 book, but that is kind of a foundation element, and it's a kind of a skeleton for what we're going to be doing. So there's some things that I like. I sent you the one from Amherst where they did that national study. I believe what is specified in there. Who paid for it? A large foundation paid for it. We can talk about when we get together. I've got one coming to you for Module 2. One of the roles that you could think about and someone you could interview would be someone who is a board member of an institution. And the folks in one of the national think tanks has a very fine piece on what should a supervising trustee know and do when it comes to the budget and finance of the institution she or he is working with. Okay, that's pretty important kind of stuff. We will have these readings for units 1, 2, 3, and 4. What I normally do with unit 5 is I do not spend a whole lot of time giving you any new material. We use that to review for the paper, and since we only have 6 weeks, what I normally do with the 6th module is make myself available to you if you have any questions or concerns, but nothing new is coming. I want you to concentrate that time on doing the very best possible job you can do on the final synthesis paper that I talked about a minute ago. One of the other things you'll see that I'm a little bit in love with is PowerPoint systems. A way for me to get some very good stuff in front of you. There's one attached to every one of the modules, modules 1 through 4 right now. I usually bring at least one with me. We look at the one that we did because you had a chance to think about it and come up with questions, concerns, analyses, what have you. Then that's the one that's on the module. Then I bring one with you and we talk about it. In case I forget to tell you at any other time, please let me know if you have a desire to have a copy of the ones that I bring to class with me. Just let me know. I am a very big fan of what Blackboard does. I have instantaneous communication with you and with that tool that I've never had before when I was working at the community college and in the other universities where I worked. The stuff was not very good. I've been at Morgan now, I think I'm starting my 11th year, and that they've been keeping on top of what's going on. So that's really great. Okay, one of the other things I want you to look at, I genuinely feel that I am your facilitator. You've got in the syllabus, you have my cell phone number, my office phone number. We're of that generation that retains our landline, and you've got my email address. And I can guarantee you, I look at that phone the cell 3 to 4 times a day. I look at the computer, I look at my email at least 3 or 4 times a day. So I'm not very hard to get a hold of. Each week I will tell you when I'm going to be on campus. The fact of the structure of the course probably determines pretty much when I will be there. Please note, and I'll repeat, please note, when I started this, when I agreed to teach this course, I was told it would be a Monday, Wednesday course. Not a problem, but they told me at the last minute that it would be a Tuesday, Thursday. And I will have to talk about that during the first class because I do have one assignment that I have to take responsibility for that may require that we have a guest facilitator, but you'll know more about that the first night of class. These run about 10 minutes. I'm now on 10 minutes and 35 seconds. As my favorite phrase is, I look forward to working with and learning from you. Thank you.